Honestly, Mikey, I wasn't sure if you're going to make it to this podcast today because it seems like you've been hungover or on the verge of death for the last 2 weeks, week and a half. I was honestly worried that you weren't going to be here.
No, yeah, it's been a hell of a couple weeks. I even had Dillbean, as we call him. He's literally been texting me nonstop, asking me if I was alive over the last like 10 days or so. It's been a long couple of weeks. We've been hosting a lot, but I'm back. I'm ready to party. I'm ready to talk with you two about ridiculous fantasy footballs and make fun of you while doing it.
Mikey, are you ready to get loaded?
Dude, I'm always ready to get loaded.
Well, then let's get loaded because this is the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first, we finish last.
Welcome back to the Loaded Box Podcast. I think even after a week off, I think we took last week off. But like Mikey said, though, everything's just been a jumbled mess. And DJ, I love where you went with that intro because before we get started here, we're talking, we're going to do some Dynasty Shark Tank today. I'm pretty pumped for this episode. But I wanted to ask Mikey, typically what I was going to do is say, explain your Memorial Day weekend in 20 seconds or less. But then I'm like, you know what? I bet Mikey can't even tell us 20 seconds of things that he remembers from Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, it took me about 4 or 5 days to recover from that hangover. We had like 5 or 6 people stay with us for 3 or 4 days in our small 2-bedroom apartment. And it was just a nonstop bender. I think I spent like $1,000 over the weekend, and we just, the credit card bill is looking absolutely fucking terrible. But my liver is destroyed. My cabinet is empty. There's still empty fucking bottles everywhere. It was a hell of a time, but I need a break.
Is your credit card just like purchases of tequila?
Dude, it's so bad. It's so bad. I think there's literally like a $400 charge to like the ABC liquor store down the road.
DJ, I personally got a little bit sick hearing that. I'm all about drinking and having a good time, but that made my lip quiver a little bit hearing that much tequila.
I can only make it 2 days through March Madness now. So I can't imagine doing that for multiple days. But I was like, I don't know if Mikey's ever going to I legit was like, this is a little questionable because if I had people over for that long, dead.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, we started on a Thursday and didn't end until the last person left on Tuesday afternoon. So
oh my gosh,
it was nonstop.
Well, I'm glad that you're able to hear. I'm glad you're drinking again. We're glad to have you all back. Like I said, we're doing the Dynasty Shark Tank. We've never done this before, so it's our first go round. So maybe cut us a little slack the first time we do it because it's day one for everybody. But what we're going to do here, we've all identified a quarterback of value that we'd currently try to sell, like in a Dynasty league. We'll state the player's name. We'll state the current offer we're seeking. We'll give our little sales pitch as to why he's worth what we're seeking. And then the two other people, the buyers in this case, are going to come up with their offers that they would offer for the player that we're selling. We'll have some negotiation, some back and forth. If the two sides can come to an agreement, well, a deal will be made. We'll see what the value is for that player. And if a deal cannot be reached, obviously we'll see what deals won't work for you. So we've singled out 3 players here. If you boys don't mind, I'll lead this puppy off, and I'll be the first person to enter. I think I got to come up with a better thing than Shark Tank because I don't want to consider us sharks. Like maybe what can we call you to? Like I'm making my pitch to you guys.
We're like guppies right now.
yeah, maybe something along like that. God, I was trying to think of something like more drinking related. Like I'm making my pitch to a couple of drunk dudes at the bar at this point. We'll come up with a better one for next episode.
I'm a drunk at the bar, that's for sure.
There we go.
I like that.
Well, all right. Well, I'll step into the bar first then. And the player that I'm going to sell to you guys today is the new quarterback of the LA Rams. It's Matthew Stafford. I'm going to throw this up on the ticker here so those watching on Twitter Live and YouTube can see the player that I'm selling and what I'm trying to get for him. So I'm seeking a late first or an early second round rookie draft pick in the 2021 draft, or I would settle for a flex-worthy running back. And what I like about Stafford, why I think you should be buying him, This dude seems like he's been in the league forever. However, he's still only 33 years old. We think about running backs and wide receivers being fossils at that point in time. That can be like a prime for certain quarterbacks. This dude's got plenty of years left in the tank, so he's not a one-year rental. And he's always been a decent fantasy quarterback, and he's finally out of Detroit. You see the new Detroit Lions hats that just came out with the L on them? Like what? Like they are owning up to what they're going to do this year. He left Detroit. He's with a competent coach. He's with competent playmakers. And keep in mind, Cooper Kupp entering year 2 post-knee surgery. Everyone seems to struggle a little bit their first year after knee surgery. He went through that last year. He's going to bounce back big time this year. And you want fantasy players that are on teams that are going to score points, and that's what you're going to get out of the Rams this year. So whether you're looking for a push win now, whether you're looking for a quarterback that can sustain your dynasty team for a couple of years, Matt Stafford's your guy. So that's what I'm seeking. I think in regards to what I'm seeking here, you're basically giving up the opportunity to land a guy like Rashad Bateman or Elijah Moore. I don't think that they're going to give your team any sort of instant impact. And who knows? They're big question marks anyways. Matthew Stafford is the guy. He is the guy that's going to be there for years to come. He's going to be the one that can guide your dynasty team. So I'm ready to hear some offers from the guys at the bar over here.
All right. So
maybe not even offers right now. You guys can ask me questions, maybe make me justify it more. You can say your thoughts on him, where you guys land as well.
Well, first off, I am a fan of Matthew Stafford. I am willing, just right now off the bat, willing to offer you $1,000 for 20% of Matt Stafford. Wait, is that the take we're doing?
That's the real tank. Somehow we're gonna end up owning portions of these players.
So I can't have 20% of like Matt Stafford. Like I can't have his arm or something.
I think you would need to pay a lot more than that. Based on what his contract is, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more than that.
All right. What do you got, Mikey? You go ahead, Mikey. Why don't you?
All right, so I do like Matt Stafford a lot. I like him significantly more in LA with that coaching staff, with the just being out of Detroit. Everything is better in LA, especially the receiving core that he gets. My issue with sending something along like this for Matt Stafford is that chances are, if I'm buying Matt Stafford, I'm already a contender. If I'm already a contender, chances are I have, let's say, a bottom 4, bottom 5 rookie pick this year. So let's assume I have somewhere between the 108 and the 112. I can't justify giving a first-round pick for Matt Stafford. I do really like him a lot. But my issue is, even from redraft, I have him outside of my top 12 quarterbacks. So I do have him outside of the QB1s, and I'm not going to give away a first-round pick for a QB1. With that being said, I think he's going to have plenty of QB1 weeks, especially with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, and then if they get Cam Akers more involved or whatever. But assuming that I have somewhere between, the 8th pick of each round and the 12th pick of each round, let's say for the sake of it, I have 109 and 209. You're not going to give me him for 209, which I would gladly give you. You would gladly give me him for 109, which I wouldn't give you. So I'm going to think it over, because I would like to make an offer for Matt Stafford, but I can't just straight up give you, the first or second that you're going to want from him.
Right. Go ahead, DJ. I've got an idea that I could kind of counter to Mikey to maybe make an offer for him, basically, to see if he would accept my counter proposal to a proposal that he hasn't even made to me yet, if that makes sense.
And I like a lot of what he's saying. So if I'm looking late round, or if I'm looking for Matt Stafford, I'm a win now team. I'm probably with a young quarterback that may be like a Tua Tagovailoa or something like that, and I want to continue that. I want to go ahead and win now. So if I'm going to give you Matt Stafford, or if I'm going to get Matt Stafford, I'm going to give up. I'm willing to give you somebody. I'm willing to give you. No, I'm trying to dig. Right now, I'm only willing to give up. I'll give you Ronald Jones right now for Matt Stafford.
I would probably end up declining that. While I think about that, what I would do for Mikey, because I know what he said is exactly right. I would pull the trigger immediately on 109, but I would tell him to kick rocks on 209. So DJ, I'm going to put you on hold for a second, right, and I'm going to go back to Mikey and ask, would you do Stafford for 109 if I threw back in Stafford and like 207. Let's say the 205 to 207 range, just to give you a little bit to work with.
See, my first reaction would probably be no. Just because, I mean, it really depends on how needy I am at the quarterback position. Like, if somehow I was a contender last year and I was rolling with, like a Kirk Cousins guy or I know Ben Roethlisberger didn't really play last year, but I'm just looking at my ranks, picking out a couple of guys here. If I had one of those guys, it might be tempting, but I think I would talk myself out of it because it's just I still don't think I could justify sending over if I have the 109, even if you have the 205 and you give me that, I'm still moving down 8 picks. In my opinion, after like the 204, 205 in this year's class, there's really not much out there except for if you want to, reach on a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or something like that at that point. Which is what I would want to do with the 205, which would kind of make it pointless for me to pick up Matt Stafford at that point.
Makes sense.
So I would decline that, but I will make you a counter offer here because
that's what I was looking for.
And so I don't know if this is cheating or not. Can I refer to our ranks that we have up on lbp.com?
Yeah, I'm referring to them right now.
Might as well.
Okay, so I'm looking at our ranks. You and I feel the exact same way about Nyheim Hines. We both have him as the number 37 overall running back. Now, this is just redraft, right? We're not talking about Dynasty. Right. I know we are talking Dynasty here, but for the sake of our rankings, they are redraft. I would be willing to package 209 and Nyheim Hines for Matt Stafford straight up, just because if I am reaching out about Matt Stafford, chances are I do need him to some sort of degree. So I think the late second round pick and Nyheim Hines. He's a guy who obviously has PPR upside. He's got to roll somewhere on that offense. I know that I'm not, losing a whole hell of a lot of opportunity because he's behind Jonathan Taylor. But at the same time, you look at what he did last year, in those 5 or 6 games, you got a pretty decent flex-worthy running back.
Right. And what I would say to that, too, because that's what I was saying, flex-worthy running back. And Hines can be that, and the addition of 209 helps kind of soften the blow that he might not be that every week. So I'm close to that. I would have one small counter to that, but I want to see if DJ is willing to add anything to his Rojo offer before I do one final counter to Mikey.
This is tough because I want to know how close are you to making the playoffs in this scenario? I know it's kind of outside the game, but I'm kind of curious. We could play it both ways, right?
Right. I guess if I would be selling Stafford, I feel like I would be in a situation where I would likely be probably rebuilding because of the fact that I'm trying to get a draft pick and I'm giving away a quarterback that has good value.
All right. This is tough. All right. So I'm looking that I'm in a win now situation. I'm trying to get Matt Stafford. I want the quarterback that I think is going to put up numbers. I am willing to offer you. I'll give you. This is just 1-to-1. All right, young running back. I'm willing to offer Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Matt Stafford straight up.
Based on that, I don't even think that I would need to give a counter to Mikey, because if someone offered me that, I would slam dunk it. I think a deal has been made.
I can't blame you at all for that. I was going to make an argument because I don't religiously follow trade calculators. I kind of just put it in after, I'm extending an offer or I'm thinking about extending an offer or something like that. For what it's worth, Nyheim Hines and the 209 beats the Matt Stafford side by 13% in the trade calculators. It's actually pretty, fair trade. Something tells me if I put Clyde Edwards and Matt Stafford in, Clyde Edwards is going to win by a landslide. So, right. I can't blame you for smashing accept on that as opposed to mine.
So here's my thought process behind that.
I'm curious because I think most people would say that you'd be crazy to offer up a Clyde Edwards-Helaire who's 1 year into a long career.
I was going to go Chris Carson in like late second round, maybe early third or something like that, and see if we could work with that. But I just, if I'm in win now situation, I personally think that Matt Stafford is going to be a top 5 quarterback for the next 5 years with this Rams team. Because if Jared Goff can succeed, I really do think people are underrating Matt Stafford. If Jared Goff can succeed with fucking Sean McVay, then I can't even picture the number that Matt Stafford's going to put up. So I honestly think I'm getting a top 5 to top 3 quarterback, which we're all not ranking him well, for the next 5 years, giving up a pick, and I can still get a young guy yet in the next 5 years to develop under that. So, I'm just not a big fan of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, honestly, after watching him for a season. So I'm not huge. I think they're going to give up on him quick and be a running back by committee team. So I'm not a huge. I feel like it's a Belichickian type of offense where they can use a million different running backs at this point.
See, I would smash that trade. I already made a deal, so I can't go back on it anyways. And I think most people would, but I also say, like, if I wanted to play devil's advocate against my own deal that I just made, this is why it was low on Clyde Edwards-Helaire to begin with. It's like, what Chiefs running back was really fantasy relevant or worthy prior to him even getting there? You make a big deal about Damian Williams. He really wasn't consistent whatsoever. He put up a couple of decent weeks here and there. He had an awesome Super Bowl that everyone remembers because it's literally the last game that he played in. You didn't really want him as a fantasy guy. And you think about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he had some nice plays. He was only a rookie. There's room to grow. So I think, yes, I would take the chance, obviously, of going
absolutely
here, no doubt. But yeah, there are people out there. So don't completely write it off, because there are some people out there that aren't that high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, despite how crazy people think that is.
I think it's crazy.
That's fine.
I will just highlight this, not going to, like I said, I don't live and die by trade calculators, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire 1-for-1 with Matt Stafford. Clyde Edwards-Helaire wins by 788%.
Good.
So better be a smash accept on your part, Ben.
I honestly am so over the moon with Matt Stafford. I didn't want to give it away, but I was so over the moon with Matt Stafford in 2021 and like 2000 to 2025 that I was like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have saw gone so aggressively so early. But if I'm a win down team, I'm doing as much as I like Aaron Rodgers territory for Matt Stafford, like last year MVP. Like I honestly think you should put going to gambling an MVP bet on Matt Stafford this year in that offense. I don't know why we just forget that this guy is legit one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
He is fantastic. Yeah. I can't argue with it whatsoever. I do think if there's a dark horse candidate to be a top 5 quarterback or even a top 3 fantasy quarterback, it could be Matt Stafford. So, if he goes out there and if he brings what he did to Detroit in, 2019 when he was going on a tear, if he brings that to LA, he's going to put up better numbers than Pat Mahomes this year. Like, it's just going to happen.
And there's so many. I'm terrible. There's other young running backs I like. I like Cam Akers. I like J.K. Dobbins. I like David Montgomery. I like a lot of these guys a lot more than I like. I just really, Ben, I think I was wrong on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I'm just off of that train. So I'm just willing to separate ways with him and get a quarterback and hope I can find a running back later. Because I'm just, it's only been 1 year, but I feel like I'm just off that train. Like I was dead wrong.
Fair enough. Well, are you ready to enter the bar as the salesman?
Here we go.
All right, DJ, the floor is yours.
All right. So I am going to be selling, and I know this is going to be interesting because it's going to be a homerish type of thing, but I'm selling them. So let's remember that. I'm selling Aaron Rodgers. What I'm looking for out of the reigning MVP, I don't know if you heard, is an early first and a top 20 RB, so a flex style RB, or a young and upcoming QB that maybe you're not so sure about, like Tua because he's trash, and an early second or third.
What's your selling tools there? You're just going to throw out that he's an MVP and that he's better than Tua?
Yeah, so this is my selling point. I threw it out there, right? He's the reigning MVP, and I get it. And I'm kind of excited that he's it's mining camp today, and he's forfeiting the contract or the penalty, whatever it is. But this is Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna play football somewhere this year. I still think it's gonna be Green Bay. I don't think he will sit out the entire year. This guy's loving life, blah blah blah. Mikey, thought this guy was done. And now he's just eating his words because he was what, the number two quarterback in fantasy last year, and he's still in his prime. Look at Tom Brady still going. Look at where he's at 42 years old. Aaron Rodgers is what, 37, and it feels like he's just getting started. So you got 5 to 7 years. You may have a Tua on your team. If you may have a Tua, you may have a Trevor Lawrence, somebody like that. And now you get to add an Aaron Rodgers. You're basically letting Trevor Lawrence or Tua sit behind Aaron Rodgers in your Dynasty League. And you're going out there and you're getting a top quarterback in the NFL coming back to whoever he wants to, essentially. He's going to play football this year. And he's going to come back and he's going to play for, who knows, Denver. He's going to have Jerry Jeudy. He's going to have Cortland Sutton. He's going to be for the Packers. He's going to have Devontae Adams still. Obviously, he's going to kill it there. He's going to have Aaron Jones. He's got Amari Rodgers now. No matter where this guy ends up, he's going to put up numbers. He's playing football this year. You need him. You're going to win now. He's a winner. And he runs the ball in. So as much as he's throwing the ball, he still has the ability to run touchdowns in. You do have that little rushing upside down, 2-3 touchdowns. Give me that Aaron Rodgers guy. Give you that Aaron Rodgers guy.
Yeah, there you go. I actually want to pose a question to Mikey here rather than DJ, because I know obviously you're selling him DJ, but Mikey, don't you think that honestly in a Dynasty League right now, I would love to sell Aaron Rodgers. However, I think it might be like the worst time to do it just because of all the uncertainty. Do you feel the same way that, God, I'd like to get rid of him because of the uncertainty, but I feel like I'm taking it in the shorts because I don't know where he's playing and people are going to be scared of what they get for him? Because my offers for DJ aren't going to sniff what he's asking.
Yeah, mine aren't going to sniff what he's asking either. Because in my opinion, he's not a sell in Dynasty leagues right now. He's a buy. But you can only call a player a buy when the market value on him is lower than it should be. And I do think that the market value on Aaron Rodgers right now is much lower than it should be because, do I think he's going to play football this year? I do. Whether it's with Green Bay or Denver, like you mentioned, or God knows where else. Aaron Rodgers still obviously has a lot left in the tank. He showed that last year. And, when he plays, he fucking plays. He's fantastic. The issue, though, is that there is a seed of doubt in everyone that's not named DJ Primo. There's a seed of doubt in our minds that, he could just walk away. He could sit out. He could retire. He could go host Jeopardy. He could just stay in Hawaii with his fiance and live in life. And like you mentioned, DJ, he's 37. I know you're bringing up Tom Brady, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's good statistically. He is, but he's not a winner like Tom Brady. I'm sorry, he's not.
What's that have to do with fucking Dynasty football?
Listen.
But that has to do with his longevity in the league. You know what I mean? Like,
why?
He can put up these stats, but I mean, if he's 37, he's hasn't really won anything. When did they win? Like fucking 2011 or something? 2010, exactly. It's been so long. I mean, yes, he does give the Green Bay Packers a competitive advantage, but they haven't had a bad team around him. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, are there going to be a lot of teams in the league that are going to go out and invest in a 37-year-old quarterback to the point where I can get the longevity in my Dynasty League?
There are 27 other teams that would be willing to not even part ways, willing to bring in Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. Yes, because they're immediate Super Bowl winning teams. When it comes to winning, I don't know what that means. They're NFC Championship, but all I know is what he's doing is he's winning you fantasy football. He's winning you games. He's winning you money. And if you end up with him on your team, you're winning money. I don't give a fuck if he wins the Super Bowl. He's going to win your Super Bowl. He is going to win your Super Bowl for you because you're playing 15 or 16 weeks, that's where he's winning.
Listen, and I get that. I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to play, and I think he's going to be a complete baller, at least for this season, probably the following season. My issue, though, is that you're trying to sell me on him for the next 5 to 7 years, and I'm not buying that for the next 5 to 7 years. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to be in the league for the next 5 to 7 years. I'm sorry. I know you're heartbroken over that, but he's not. And I'm not buying him as a dynasty asset. I'm buying him as a win now, this year, next year, probably that's going to be it. Now, if I did have some clarity on his situation and I was a quarterback away from being a legit contender, I would not give you, I'm telling you right now, I would not give you an early first for Aaron Rodgers, but I would give you, somewhere along the lines of around the 108 to 110, and I'd be more than happy to do that. It's for a 37-year-old quarterback, you know what I mean? So, and that's if I had clarity on the situation. So I am going to make you an offer on Aaron Rodgers, assuming that I'm going to compete this year. I don't know how much you're necessarily going to love it because it does not match what you're asking for. But I would be willing to give you a guy like Daniel Jones and my second-round pick this year, which, as we talked with Ben, is probably around the 208 or 209. I would give you Daniel Jones and him for Aaron Rodgers for my potential win now.
All right. So, number one, we were talking about the guy who said he's going to play into his 40s. So, I mean, he said already he plans on playing into his 40s. So, the fact that, that you're saying he's not going to, he's already poo-pooed that comment.
He'll be 40 in 3 years, though. You're trying to sell me him on 5. You can't say that I'm getting him for the next 5 to 7 years if he's turning 40 in 3 years. It's not a typical thing to play up to those ages in the NFL. Players can say all they want to, but it's – you can't sell a guy like Aaron Rodgers for the next 5 to 7 years. I just think that was a bad sales pitch.
It's NFL today, right? So the guys like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they're playing longer. They're reserving their body. Their workouts are different. They're not drinking before games like they were back in the 60s, right? They are playing longer. You're going to see these quarterbacks continue to be in the NFL for longer. Have you ever seen Cap Rooney for on Sunday? That guy was pert near 40.
What a line.
So I do have a question, and Ben, it's for you. My offer of Daniel Jones and the 209.
Yeah, no.
In your opinion, is that a fair offer?
I would say that it's a touch light, but I don't mind it because, Jesus, if Daniel Jones has ever had the opportunity to become a fantasy starter, it has to be this year. Like, you're taking a chance on the Kenny Golladay, the Saquon Barkley, everyone coming to that team and it clicking. What scares me is the fact that it's still Daniel Jones and it's still the New York Giants. So I would think that offer is a touch light. If it was Daniel Jones and like maybe a little bit earlier second round, I think that I'd be more apt to pull the trigger if I was DJ. And it's because of that uncertainty. It's because we don't know for sure where Rodgers is playing. And Jesus, if he has his heels dug in the way that he says, and so does Gutekunst,
who says
what
that?
if he sits? Then you just traded all this stuff for a quarterback that's not doing anything. And one real quick thing that I'll let you also touch on, don't tell me that players aren't drinking before that. It was Maurice Clarett that famously said in the locker room he was getting his goose on.
Maurice Clarett played like 2 years of NFL football. Let's hear, what do you got for me, Ben?
Okay, well, my first offer was going to be a straight up an early round pick. An early second round pick. We're talking like 201 to 204, like straight up. Like I would offer you that. If you had some hesitation, I would throw in like a 22 fourth with it.
You're already saying hesitate. If I have some hesitation, you're going to throw the 22 fourth?
Yeah, I'm kind of beating you to the punch maybe a little bit because I don't think that you would, based on where I think that you would stand with them, I think that it would take a little bit more than that early second. So I'm already going to counter offer my own offer and say, let's go early second, early fourth of 21, which I think is honestly, it might be about the same equivalent in value as what Mikey offered. It's pretty close, I would assume.
What did you offer, Mikey? It was Daniel Jones and what?
And 209.
I mean, that's way better than
like the 209 area.
No, I think right now, as of now, if you guys can't come back with a little bit better offer than that, I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers is going to play. I know Aaron Rodgers is going to play football. Go ahead.
Would you take James Robinson straight up for him?
No.
What about James Robinson? What about James Robinson and a early 21 third?
If I'm selling Aaron Rodgers, it's most likely because I have a young guy like Justin Herbert, early 21 third.
Along with James Robinson.
And James Robinson.
Young running back? You wanted a top 20 running back? What I'm missing, obviously, is the first part of what you wanted.
It's the Travis Etienne
Yeah, he's playing wide receiver. Forget about that guy.
It's the Travis Etienne issue that gets me on that one.
So if I can interject with an offer as well before you answer his. Hypothetically speaking, where is your second round pick?
Where's my second round pick?
Yeah.
If my second round pick. All right. That's a good
chances are if you had Aaron Rodgers last year, you probably had a half decent year.
Yeah, so I'd say like 207-ish. Or 107. Oh, seventh. Sorry, just seventh. Somewhere in the seventh area.
So 207. So tell me if I'm way out of line on this one. But what if I gave you gave me Aaron Rodgers in your second, and I gave you my 109?
No, can't do it.
Ooh, I thought that would be tempting. You wouldn't pull the trigger on that.
Aaron Rodgers and my second at mid and 109. No, I would need a running. I would need some kind of flex, whether it's a wide receiver or a running back. I would need something added on.
There's a chance. What, you're maybe landing Michael Carter there?
There's deep running backs. Wide receivers. Sorry.
Yeah, you could get a Waddle or a Smith.
For what it's worth, the 109 does beat the Rodgers and 207 side by 32%, and we lost him.
DJ was so pissed off at that offer that he left the stream.
I think it's actually a pretty decent offer.
I don't mind that offer. When you said it, I honestly thought he was going to say, like, Ben, if you don't have a counter to your last one, I will take it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty reasonable, to be completely honest with you, because I'm trading down nearly a full round. I'm going from 109 to 207, and as we discussed, there's really not a whole hell of a lot. It's not a super deep class. At 207, I'm taking a flyer on a rookie quarterback, or I'm settling for like a Kadarius Toney or something like that. But it was a hard no from DJ. So I don't know. I honestly thought that offer was better than Danny Jones in the second round. I honestly thought that offer was better by far, but I don't know how much better I could do for that to get Aaron Rodgers on my team with the uncertainty going on.
I got to get back on track here. I don't even my computer just updated to all the times I put my microphone or my headphones back in and kicked me out of here.
You've trained your computer to be such a fan of Aaron Rodgers that it heard that deal and it immediately kicked you off.
I'm not kidding. I was sitting here and it left the stream. I was away from my computer. So Mikey, so you've got Daniel Jones and 209, and you have
James Robinson
and
early second
for Aaron Rodgers. I love James Robinson. I'm just so hesitant right now with the clown show down in Jacksonville. Like I'm hesitant about the Jacksonville clown show. I really like having a running back. If I'm giving up Aaron Rodgers, I do have a good quarterback. There's a good quarterback because I'm not going to just give up Aaron Rodgers, right? If I don't have something coming up, I said. So like if I have Aaron Rodgers and Justin Herbert, I'm probably willing to give up Aaron Rodgers. In this case, I go back to Herbert every time, or Joe Burrow, whatever. The clown show of Urban Meyer really fucks with me. It really does. If you could find another running back on James Robinson level, maybe I can do some work.
The other guy that I had in mind is kind of the opposite. It would be more of a guy if you're in win now mode, and it was Melvin Gordon. And I know that you would poo-poo that. Nope. You've used poo-poo a lot on this episode.
Melvin Gordon doesn't exist anymore to me.
The other guy that I had written down that I would float your way to pair with an early second. It's not a running back, but it's a wide receiver that has youth on his side and what could be maybe an upcoming offense. Michael Pittman Jr.
Mm-hmm. Michael Pittman Jr. And what?
And an early second.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And I read my note wrong. I was going to make it a 22 second, but since I said it out loud, I have to go with it now. So I guess we're just made for each other, and we're going to make deals, and Mikey's going to just run the calculator for us.
I'll take that. I like the longevity of wide receivers. Obviously running back is a premium position. Right. They last much shorter than the amount of that. If I need to add that flex territory, how deep dynasty rosters are getting. Yeah, I would take that.
Well, congrats on a good deal because the Pittman and 203 is 40% better than Aaron Rodgers straight up. So, DJ, congrats on the job well done.
Good. Apparently, I just gave up my entire world earlier. So
I folded a little bit on that one. I feel like I gave up a bit too much. But if I'm in win now mode, I wanted Aaron Rodgers. Even though he might not play this year. A couple of quick things to note prior to we throw Mikey into the seller's pitch. If you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, you're going to notice that DJ took his jersey off and it landed on Mikey's bed. DJ, why is your Sam Darnold jersey on Mikey's bed?
What? My Sam Darnold jersey?
Yeah, you see it laying on Mikey's
bed?
Yeah, he left
nothing,
it
nothing.
Well, the issue is that I invited DJ for Memorial Day weekend and not you. We just didn't want you to find out.
Well, you shouldn't have left your shirt on his bed, DJ. Sorry.
I was going to say that should be me laying in his bed, not Sam Darnold's jersey.
Fair enough.
I can dream.
Mikey, you can dream, but can you sell? Let's hear the person that you're selling to these drunks at the bar.
All right, drunks at the bar. So my quarterback is going to be Ryan, as DJ would call him, Tyler Tannehill. Where did that come from, by the way, before we get into this?
Because when he got to the Titans, he turned into a new quarterback, and he's a different person. So I thought he looked like a Tyler because he was a different quarterback, and he's Tyler Tannehill. He's not Ryan Tannehill of the Miami Dolphins. He's Tyler Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans.
It is honestly my favorite explanation for something that's so off the wall.
It makes sense, though, right? Once I explain it.
It does. So let me sell you on Tyler Tannehill then. So I am offering for a mid to late round, first round pick, somewhere between the 107 and the 110. Or I'm looking for a flex type of player that, is kind of not living up to their last year's first round or their 2018 first round dynasty grade. So just for the sake of this argument, you can see it down below. Some guys off the top of my head: Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, T. Higgins, Travis Etienne from this year. These aren't the only four guys that I'm, zeroed in on, but they were just kind of the type of players that come to mind. So with Ryan Tannehill, he is turning 33 right before this season, much like Matt Stafford. Pretty much, they are the same age. Now, I think I actually can sell you on Ryan Tannehill potentially for the next 5 to 7 years. I will say 7 years is probably optimistic, but 5 years with how Ryan Tannehill's playing in Tennessee right now, and now he has A.J. Brown and Julio Jones to throw to, and he has arguably, the best true running back in the entire National Football League. He's got an awesome offense around him. They're going to keep him doing well. He's going to keep doing well, and he can more than definitely stay with this Tennessee team for at least another 4 or 5 years until he's 37 or 38 years old. So going back the last 2 seasons, from a points per game basis, in 2020, he was the QB 11. In 2019, he was the QB 9. So we know that he is, at the very least, a bottom tier QB 1. And this was, during A.J. Brown's rookie year and having Corey Davis. And now he has, veteran A.J. Brown and super veteran Julio Jones. He's obviously improved. So he's obviously got, the best receiving duo in the NFL, in my opinion, best receiving duo. I think that Tannehill is probably, and I was really high on him even before Julio Jones came to Tennessee. But now that Julio's there, I do think Ryan Tannehill is probably, he is the best win now quarterback that you could possibly buy in your dynasty leagues. I mean, the hype is there right now, which is why I'm asking for the price that I am, especially, with Julio Jones arriving and everything like that. But even before this, I probably would have asked for something similar because he is just really, really, really fucking awesome. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to lead off with. This is what I'm asking for, somewhere between the 107 and 110 or one of those players. Let me hear those offers.
I was going to ask you a question that you sort of already answered. So I'll pivot and ask you a slightly different question. Let's say that this is honestly real life. You have Ryan or Tyler Tannehill. With the addition of Julio Jones, would that make you want to hold on to him and ride this out and see if he can lead you to a fantasy championship? Or do you see this as this dude's value is not ever going to touch what it is right now, and I'm not going to take any chances? Julio Jones gets hurt and nicked up quite often. Let's get this guy out of the door as a 33-year-old quarterback and get the highest return on him that I can possibly get?
No, I'm actually very, very high on Ryan Tannehill. Our rankings that are up on LBP right now, the redraft rankings, I think I have him at number 9, and that was before the Julio signing. I could easily put him up to probably, around that 7 area, I think. Obviously, I don't expect Julio Jones to be healthy for every single game. He never seems to be healthy for every single game, and now he's, 32, 33 years old. Like, he's obviously getting up there in age, which is significantly more compromising on a wide receiver than it is on a quarterback.
Right.
But I'm not the only way that I'm selling him in real life, if I do have him, is if I'm either not a contender or I have a solid contingency plan. Like if I just grabbed myself, Trey Lance or Justin Fields, or if I just grab someone like that in the rookie draft and I can kind of build off of that. Probably be the only way that I'm legitimately selling Ryan Tannehill in one of my leagues, unless someone gives me an overpay with all the hype going on right now.
Tyler Tannehill.
There you go. DJ, you're a huge fan. Do you have an offer currently in mind? Because I think you're kind of one of those guys. Oh, he's wagging his finger. He's the tumbling me.
Here's my question. Ben has, you're going to like this, Ben. Ben has set the bar at quarterbacks, right? For football teams at Derek Carr level. And eventually you have to move on from them if they're kind of like the tier for quarterbacks is if you're going to stay with them or get rid of them is if they're above Derek Carr level or Ryan Tannehill. Or below Derek Carr level. So, sorry.
We murdered that, but I think we followed along.
Yeah.
Ben has set the bar in previous podcasts and said Derek Carr is the guy. So you below Derek Carr, above Derek Carr, you get rid of them. If they're below, you hang on to them as a football team if they're above. So do you feel like Ryan Tannehill, Tannehill is getting to that Derek Carr territory where it feels like maybe 2 years, and if he hasn't gotten them to a championship game, they're moving on. And then what am I doing with Tannehill at that point in Dynasty?
So I don't think they're going to move on anytime soon. And my reason for that is because, he has only been playing with them for a season and a half. You got to remember in 2019, he didn't take over until I think week 5, week 6, something like that, when they were like, all right, Marcus Mariota, we've had enough. That team was a losing organization with Marcus Mariota. They were not good. Marcus Mariota never lived up to the hype. The Tennessee Titans never lived up to the hype. They did a complete 180 with bringing in Ryan Tannehill, and then Derrick Henry obviously breaking out always helps too. These are two guys, even though Derrick Henry is, he doesn't catch a lot out of the backfield, Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry complement each other so well. And as long as one of them's doing well, the other one is going to look well. And if I'm going to bank on a quarterback looking good with any running back out there, Derrick Henry is firmly in that conversation. So I think it's just a matter of how the culture with that Tennessee Titans team has completely done a 180 over the last season and a half. I think at the very worst, Tannehill's going to be with that team for another 2, maybe 3 seasons. And the only way that they move on from him by the time he's 34 or 35 is if he really falls off or this team goes on a skid or something. I just don't see that happening because he's been winning with them. The Titans are just they're winners now.
I actually have more offers prepared for Mikey and Ryan Tannehill than I did for DJ and Aaron Rodgers, because what Mikey said in his sales pitch about Ryan Tannehill being like the ultimate win now quarterback if you're trying to scoop somebody up, I kind of agree with, because he is that guy that would be available potentially in your dynasty league. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to be able to come super close to what Mikey is seeking, but I think I'll get closer than what I was willing to get originally with Rodgers anyways. So Mikey, I do have a couple of offers in mind. The first one is a straight up offer. If you are be looking for a running back that still has a little bit of youth on his side and now has an opportunity, I've got an intriguing offer for you. Would you straight up trade me Ryan Tannehill for Damian Harris?
No. I'm not a fan of Damian Harris. There's always too much going on in that backfield. They just drafted Ramondre Stevenson, and I know he wasn't drafted super high, but there were a lot of scouts that were very, very super high on him. And I do think he's going to cut into Damian Harris's time. They're very similar type backs, and he doesn't do much for me.
All right, here's my offer. Would you trade me Tyler Tannehill for Raheem Mostert and a mid to late third round pick?
No. And to explain myself on that, Raheem Mostert really does. I mean, if you made me that offer this time last year, right before the season last year, and we were all riding the Raheem Mostert train, I would say absolutely. Right. But the issue is that Trey Sermon was a third round pick. I'm not a big fan of Trey Sermon, as you guys know. But that coaching staff is, obviously. They also drafted a running back, in the 6th round or something like that, Elijah Mitchell.
Right.
What's his face? Jeff Wilson. He's going to be out for the first, 40 weeks of the season, but he's going to come back and be perfectly fine. I mean, this offense, I know the coaching staff has slightly shifted, but I mean, there's never the guy on this offense. And Raheem Mostert is going to, he kind of does for me what Nyheim Hines does for me. I can probably start him for 4 or 5 games, but I'm never going to be able to tell you which 4 or 5 games those are going to be. So I would decline that one.
I've got a second offer then, since you pivoted off Damian Harris so far. I won't involve him in another deal since you seem to not be interested in him. Speaking from just a straight up dynasty strategy, this next offer is something I actually like doing in my real life leagues. If I have a couple of guys that I value the same, that I think other people may value differently, rather than sending a straight up proposal, I'll send the person a text message and just say, hey, I'll give you one of these 3 guys. Take your pick. So I'm going to give you 3. You like that.
You did. You gave me like all of my quarterbacks. Choose one.
I'm going to give you an option of 3 wide receivers, and I'm going to start with them being as straight up offers. The 3 wide receivers that I'll float out to you are Michael Gallup, Mike Williams, and Devontae Parker. Would you take any of those 3 guys straight up for Tannehill?
I wouldn't do it straight up. I will say the one that entices me the most is Michael Gallup. But the issue here is that I'm probably not getting much from Michael Gallup this year. What I'm really banking – I do think he is a very talented receiver. I think he's more than worthy of being a team's legitimate wide receiver too. Right. And I don't mean a fantasy wide receiver. I mean, he could be a fantasy wide receiver too if he gets that kind of opportunity, but he should be a real life wide receiver too somewhere. But there's just so much going on in that Dallas offense. I do think that this time next year, I think Michael Gallup's going to be a pretty hot name in real life free agency.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the exciting part about Michael Gallup. But with Ryan Tannehill, if he's going to have a really, really big year in his career, it's going to be this year, having, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, the youngest that Julio will ever be. So giving up Tannehill's this year for Gallup's just potential, a season down the road, it just doesn't do it for me.
Fair enough. I've got a counter that I can add to that, but before I do it, I'll think about it on it some more if DJ has a second offer that he would like to throw out.
How about I'm thinking about this name, and I think you might hate it, but I haven't decided yet. How about a Henry Ruggs for Tyler Tannehill?
See, and it is kind of tempting because I did consider actually throwing Ruggs's name, on that list of guys that came to mind because, he was the first receiver taken off the board in last year's draft. I don't necessarily think that Vegas really deployed him correctly. I'm hoping that they're going to moving forward. But it is Vegas. They still have Derek Carr, which is the line of isn't he quarterback, as you guys were saying. So it does make me nervous. I don't think I could do a straight up for Henry Ruggs, but I would be interested in Henry Ruggs if he was even the main part of a package.
He's kind of like Gallup in that sense, where you're just waiting on something to pop. Very not the same type of player by any means, but the same kind of deal when you're thinking about a dynasty trade. While DJ thinks about that, I do have something I would like to add to my Gallup deal. If I gave you Michael Gallup and a late second, in 2021, would you give me Tannehill and your 22 third?
Oh no. You had me, kind of had me when you said a second and Gallup for Tannehill, but I think, listen, Tannehill is the most hyped quarterback in Dynasty this week, right? We are doing this episode on June 8th, 2 days after Julio just landed in Tennessee. I'm using that to my advantage. I'm not gonna, do what is that in the realm of a fair offer? I think so, but I'm gonna sell the hype. I'm not gonna take a deal that doesn't live up to his hype on June 8th, 2021.
I can't hate that. I wanted to get the deal done. I thought that maybe would scratch your itch, but I love your theory right there because this is the ultimate hype. But I think DJ might have for you something. He was trying to start a fire with his fingers there.
This is my last offer, and I'm done after this.
All right.
I will give you – okay, we'll do Tyler Tannehill for Tua Tagovailoa straight up.
That's interesting.
That one is interesting. And it definitely really depends what my team makeup is here.
Let's say that you have an established quarterback because that's why you're getting rid of Tannehill. You've got two guys. Right. You've got like a Stafford and a Tannehill.
In real life, I traded you Tannehill because I have Justin Herbert, right? So that's the situation.
For the Julio trade, but yes. So
way before, yeah.
Okay, so it's straight up to for Ryan Tannehill, and if I'm selling Ryan Tannehill in real life, I would assume that I have another startable quarterback for at least this year. Now, I will say, since you said I might have Stafford, I'd probably sell Stafford before I sell Tannehill, if possible.
What?
Well, it depends on the values that I'm getting here.
Holy shocker!
I like Tannehill much better. So I don't. I don't.
Well, hey, this is a common Shark Tank thing. Like people like jump on offers. So what if I trade you?
Yep.
I take Tannehill from you. I give you Tua and my early 4th in 21. Now I left the door open to see if DJ would counter with Tua in the 3rd, but that might be too rich for him. So I'm going to go Tua and a 4th.
I'll give you Tua and 3.6.
Damn it.
See, then it's tempting. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There has never been a single deal in the history of any Dynasty League where adding in a 4th round pick got it done. I'm just throwing that out there. You said it's Tua and the 3.6?
Yeah.
So that one I do like because there are actually a handful of players out there with a mid-3rd round ADP this year that I think have at least a little bit of promise. This is really tough because I'm not extremely high on Tua, but the offense that they're building around him, and he was the hashtag tank for Tua. He was supposed, he's going to be this big thing.
It was Trevor after that.
Yeah. Well, I can't write Tua off after only 1 year. Yeah, I mean, assuming that I have a contingency plan for 2021, Ben, unless you can beat the offer, I think I would take 2 and a 3.6.
I'm gonna let that one slide. I left the door open for DJ to see if he would bargain up that high. He went that high. I wasn't willing to do it. It's DJ's. DJ's the winner.
That was so much fun. I have a boner.
And you know what? I really can't complain because, I wanted an underrated 1st round prospect either from this past draft or the draft before that. And that's exactly what Tua is. He was going late 1st round, early 2nd round in one QB rookie draft. So getting this, I think it's a fair amount of selling the hype on Tannehill, but I'm also setting myself up for the future. So I can't complain about that deal.
And you don't need me to tell you that I second that deal because I would love that deal. I'm trying to pry away Tua in another league right now, and my guy wouldn't probably do it if I was offering him that. But
wow, so listen to this in the trade calculator that I have up here. So Tua is worth 651 and Tannehill is worth 650. So dead even in a 1-for-1. The 306 was definitely able to get there. So I technically did win the trade by 10%, but it was a really, really fair deal for both parties.
That's what put it on the top. I like it. God, I had a question for DJ. I wanted to ask. Say that again.
Fuck your 4th round pick.
I like what you said there, that it's never made a deal, but I would be lying if I didn't say I always throw in that 4th rounder just to add one more asset. Well, it looks so much better.
While we're talking about 4th rounders, I put up Julio after Julio got traded to Tennessee because I have A.J. Brown and Julio on the same roster in one of my leagues. I threw up Julio on the trade block just for the hell of it, and I got 3 offers, and all 3 of them consisted of like some shitty player and like 3 4th-round picks. And I responded them the exact same thing. I said, it's a 16-person league. What the fuck am I getting in the 4th round, guy?
I considered not selling Aaron Rodgers for anything. I was just going to sit here and be like, nope.
I was getting close to Tannehill there. I really was.
You should have. That would have been funny. I'm still pissed at myself for not remembering that I was going to offer you a 22 seconds. So I almost want to take my offer back. I can't though. It's fucking Shark Tank. I love it. I have so many questions for DJ, but I also want to keep this episode under an hour.
You want to do 3 more quarterbacks, Ben?
No, thank God I did. Yeah. We'll be back next week. We'll try to do some running backs.
Ask him. Come on. I can answer in like 10 seconds. My wife knows that I'm done that quick.
Par for the course. You already left your shirt on Mikey's bed. What else do you need to do around here?
I just want the questions that you have so many for me. I'm just curious. You can't just say that and just leave it wide open, Mikey. Can he do that?
Okay. Hey, this is going to be terrible for those that are podcast audio only listeners, but those who are visually watching will understand it. DJ claims that he has good shoulder definition, and I don't see it. I'm trying to find where the definition is on these shoulders that you're talking about.
I mean, it's clear as day. If you can't see it, then you must be blind. You must be a boy with no face. Look at these fucking things. Look at that shit. I wish I'm a horse. Those are my lats. Look at those lats.
What lats?
Oh. You wish you had those lats. You have to cover them up with a shirt.
Hey, by the way, Mikey's shirt wins the podcast. Like, I'm wearing a Loaded Box Podcast shirt that I would love to wear every day, but for you audio only people, his shirt says "Dibs on the redhead." And not kidding you, his fiance is a redhead, so he can wear that every single day, and it's magical.
Does the carbon mask?
I will say though, if I ever just very rarely do I actually wear this shirt out of the house with the exception of the first time that I got it. But do you know what an asshole I look like whenever I go somewhere wearing this without her next to me?
I never considered that, but I think it's a good. Well, it would have been a good conversation starter like 5 to 7 years ago. Now, when everyone's so sensitive about everything, you probably get looked at in a negative eye.
White people.
Yeah, but when I walk in with her, I get a couple of chuckles, so it's good.
Yeah,
that is true. God, that's good. I love.
She's not a fan of mine, though. I don't think. Well, no, she was drunk, so she doesn't remember. So we're all good.
She doesn't fucking remember.
Yeah, fuck it.
She'd probably like you more if you had a little bigger shoulders. Other than that,
see you Saturday.
Yeah.
As always, check us out on Twitter at LoadedBox. Check out the website, loadedboxpodcast.com. All of our podcast episodes, our articles, our redraft rankings that Mikey was referring to earlier, our Dynasty fantasy rankings, everything's there. Like I said, next episode, we want to do the same thing, but with running backs. We're available everywhere you listen to podcasts. With that, DJ, send us out.
Bye.